Will he go here? Will he go there? All we know is that Deshaun Watson wants out of there. What's up, everybody? Peter LoveJoy here, coming at you with the happenings in and around sports. This is your TPS viral update, so let's kick it off with what's going on with Deshaun Watson and why in life it's important to keep people in the loop. All clickbait titles and exaggerated wording aside, over the past few days it's become very clear that Houston Texans star quarterback Deshaun Watson is not a happy camper at the moment. The rumor mill sputtered to life after the quarterback's Twitter fingers thumbed out some choice words following the team's hiring of former New England Patriots executive Nick Caserio, who is taking over as the new Texans general manager. News that Deshaun Watson followed up by tweeting, "Some things never change." While that message alone seems cryptic and angry enough to cause some concern for Texans fans, it'll only get worse when you consider its context. Watson, the franchise quarterback who has done nothing but put up incredible numbers in his first 3 years in the league, probably felt pretty dang good at the start of the 2020 campaign after signing a $156 million 4-year contract extension. Because while the money is incredibly nice, that kind of contract not only shows how valuable you are to your team, but also expresses a sort of trust or maybe bond with the team's ownership, which must have been reassuring following the controversy of last offseason's shocking deal that sent DeAndre Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals. While Watson seemed to be very diplomatic about the deal itself, it was clear by his comments that the move was abrupt, shocking, and maybe even a little demoralizing. I mean, come on, Hopkins was Watson's go-to guy. So much so that Hopkins had at least 495 more receiving yards than any other player on the team in 2019. Hell, Hopkins even had the locker across from Watson for the last 3 years of his tenure, which means they weren't just a lethal offensive combo, they were close friends too. Which is why the news his buddy getting shipped off to Arizona probably would hurt way more than the diplomatic press talk let on. Especially considering that on the football side of things, the duo helps push the Texans to back-to-back AFC South titles and even their first playoff win since before Watson was even on the team. Things in Houston were seriously heading in the right direction, and with the major shifts of power in the AFC, it looked like 2020 could have been a very good year for the Texans. But 2020 did what 2020 do, sending Hopkins to the Cardinals and leaving Watson down his number one guy without any kind of heads up, and it's the lack of communication that left a lasting scar for Watson. We all know the NFL is a business, a ruthless business at that, but that doesn't mean you don't try to consult the major players in your business about major business moves. What I'm trying to say is that it's probably a good idea to check in with your franchise quarterback to at least explain the situation before you dish off his best friend and number one receiving option. A rule of thumb Watson clearly agrees with, considering his recent tweet echoes a sense of being wronged in the past. Something he was probably hoping would never happen again following the message of confidence his huge money contract extension puts into place. Yet, the year definitely didn't go as planned. A global pandemic was just the tip of the iceberg for the Texans, a team who had just come off a 10-6 season with a divisional round exit by the hands of the eventual champs, but now found themselves slipping to a 4-12 record on the year, where the highlight might be finally pulling the plug on coach and GM Bill O'Brien after a terrible 0-4 start to the season. The silver lining for Watson, of course, was that despite the team's awful record, he had an insane year, completing 70% of his passes and throwing for 4,823 yards with 33 touchdowns. Numbers that should indicate a team playing for a chance to hoist the Lombardi Trophy in the next few weeks and not going full rebuild, potentially trading a franchise player. In fact, Watson had such a good year, you'd probably think that management would do anything to make him feel like despite the terrible year the Texans had, the future had Watson at the center of it. Like maybe keeping him appraised and involved with who would take over the GM position after Bill O'Brien's departure, which according to ESPN's Sarah Barshop is what initially happened, citing that there were conversations between Texans CEO Cal McNair and Deshaun Watson about the vacant general manager position. McNair himself stated that the two had several visits discussing the players' thoughts and concerns about the open position, and that McNair understood Watson's point of view before meeting with candidates. While this sounds exactly what you'd want if you're Deshaun Watson, apparently the conversation the two had didn't stick with Cal McNair, because according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Texans neither considered nor consulted with those endorsed by their franchise quarterback. Yep, just like last offseason, the Texans just decided to do whatever they felt like without considering the thoughts and concerns of Deshaun Watson, and thus probably a significant portion of the team that he was representing in conversations with management, but at least they were upfront about it, right? Wrong. And unfortunately, Watson found out just like the rest of us through social media that he had a new GM in Nick Caserio. And with half of the internet already crafting theories about what that means for the Texans' future, it's hard not to sympathize with Watson, who despite all he's done for the organization seems to not have been given a single thought when making decisions about its future. And if that happened to me, I'd definitely feel the need to be heard for once and throw out some shade on Twitter. For Texans fans, it sadly gets worse from here. Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio reported that already Watson has quietly broached with teammates the possibility of requesting a trade. Now imagine signing a $156 million contract extension at the beginning of the season and already feeling like the workplace environment has turned sour enough to want to leave. Honestly, it's kind of impressive how fast things have gotten out of hand for the Houston Texans, considering that this time last season they were 2 games away from playing for a title, and now largely due to the way O'Brien fumbled his way around the general manager position, it looks like the team is about to crumble. Which, when you think about it, could be another reason why Deshaun Watson wants out of his current situation. While it's nice that the ownership got a new GM that will hopefully make better decisions for the team and its players, they did grab the guy from New England. And while on paper coming from a dynasty like New England seems like a good idea for a team trying to become one, Bill O'Brien was also from New England, and that clearly didn't go so well. Despite Cal McNair's desperate attempts to say otherwise, the Texans do seem to be consistently aiming to become the Patriots South. And after this last season, Watson, and I'm sure a few of his teammates, might want to try something other than the Patriots way. All that means is that this hiring must be incredibly frustrating for the quarterback. With all that being said, these trade rumors and tweets don't necessarily mean that Watson is going anywhere. It could simply be a way for him to flex his well-earned influence with the team in a desperate attempt to go a specific direction when hiring a new coach, something that the ownership hasn't looked like they've been honoring to this point. However, if the team continues to blow off Watson's recommendations, I wouldn't be surprised if that puts the nail in the coffin for Watson's tenure as a Texan. And if that's the case, I can't think of a single team in the NFL other than maybe Kansas City who wouldn't at least be a little interested in getting their hands on what Deshaun Watson has to offer. I mean, there are plenty of teams who need a quarterback. However, Watson is more than that. He's an elite potential franchise player. Even if you think your team has a decent player in that position, spoiler alert, he's not Deshaun Watson. While the Texans also seem like they're looking to do a quick rebuild and Watson is an excellent centerpiece to do just that, the amount of picks they'd get in a transaction involving him could also do the trick. Either way, it looks like good old Nick Caserio already has a lot of work to do. But what about you? Do you think Deshaun Watson is leaving town? If so, where do you think he'll end up? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and maybe even learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps us out a ton and we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.